T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss Tia. Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Can't wait for you to meet Miss T. She is the T in T.
Hello and welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in to Sweet Tea Time. And guess what? I'm T. And today I got something really neat to share with you. I was talking to a good friend of mine recently, and she was describing to me how she was feeling, and she kept using the word overwhelmed, but she was saying like overwhelmed wasn't the right word for what she was feeling, but that's the word that she could pull. And so she kept talking and, sharing some of the experiences that she was having and how it was making her feel and the kind of week, the kind of month, the kind of year already that she's having. The word that came to me was weary. She was weary. Now, she wasn't quite on the brink of quit. She was weary and well-doing. We got into some level of exchange about that. And, we were trying to pinpoint what is causing you to feel this weariness. We started, of course, with work and home. What's going on at work, what's going on at home. Because typically those are the two areas that contribute to some level of stress or pressure or overwhelmedness that would cause someone to feel tired or weary. But it wasn't that. We were in agreement that it wasn't the regular, potentials. And so, I'm probing a bit more and it comes to mind. I asked her, who have you been hanging out with? And she says, that's so funny that you mentioned that. And so she goes on to tell me about this one friend in particular who every time they get on the phone, she tells her everything that's going wrong, how bad life is, how poor people are treating her. And she says, it's interesting because I've spent more time with her lately, but she's spending time with her because she's wanting to help her, this particular person. But she says, I've been spending more time with her lately. And so the statement that comes to mind immediately, and I've used it many, many times, it's something that I've learned over, doing the kind of work that I do with trauma-informed people for 39 years. Takers, no givers. So you want to write this down, especially if you're the kind of person that's, like me and a lot of the people I run with, we're generous with our time, we're generous with our love. And our goal is to, in life, is to really help people, survive and thrive and be healthy and feel good. And so sometimes, when you have that kind of generous spirit, that kind of generosity and love and wanting to support people, you attract people that will lock into you and will take from you. They will take and they'll take and they'll take. And when I say take, I don't mean, like they're robbing you and things. I mean, there are people that be doing that and they need to, there's crazy people out there that really be doing that kind of stuff. So stay away from them. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the kind of person that because they're in what they're in, they will attach themselves to you as the giver and drain you of your giving energy, your positive vibe, your good spirit. And so as we're going on with the conversation, I'm helping her see, well, this person is, when you land the conversations with them, how do you feel? And she says, I feel wiped out. Like I feel totally and completely depleted. And so that led me to, wanting to share this with her, be able to build a proper boundary system and a proper system of recognizing when someone is, positioning themselves as a taker to drain you. So, number one, I want you to remember this one statement: takers, no givers. Because you are sweet, you're going to automatically attract mosquitoes. And mosquitoes do one thing. They poke into you and drain you of your life source. And so you have to remember, don't be mad when someone you identify that someone is doing this in your life. It's because you're who you are. You're going to attract them. But because you're attracting them, it doesn't mean that they have permission to drain you of your sweetness, of your kindness, of your love, and of your energy. And so just remember, takers, no givers, period. First thing I want you to, really be thoughtful about is your boundary system. And when I go to events, because I know that people will draw from me, they want to talk to me, they want to ask questions, they want answers to their challenges, their problems. I give myself a window of time. Like, no matter what, this is the time that I leave this event. No matter what, this is the time I show up. This is the time I leave. Because sometimes the taker doesn't present themselves until right as you getting ready to walk out the door. And then all of a sudden you find yourself staying too long in an atmosphere and something, presents itself and it causes a problem or a challenge for you. And so number one, I honor myself by honoring the timeline. That's number one. Number two is if you're feeling weary, start to examine not what you're doing by way of activity, but who you're spending time with. If you can start to identify the takers, and sometimes they present themselves seasonally, like, we get a lot of mosquitoes in the summertime. Sometimes they present themselves seasonally. I find that when I am pursuing a dream or a goal and I'm really, really pressing towards the finish line and I'm so close to breaking through, that I get the distractions of someone coming in and taking, so that I grow weary in a way that I don't press in. I just want to go home and go to bed. So my boundary system is whenever I am close to breaking through something big, something major, I'm working on a heavy project, a report, a book, something like that, I'm very intentional about who I allow in proximity of myself. Not because I'm a mean person, but because I have to protect the energy that I need in order to finish the task, especially a big task. So just know when you're on the brink of breaking through something, that's most often when the distraction comes in the form of a taker. And so you have to be aware of that. And then it's your job to keep your cup full. Here's the deal. If you're feeling weary, it's because you allowed someone to plug into you and drain you dry. If you have an empty cup, that is 100% your fault. So it's your job to keep your cup filled. It's your job to keep your battery charged. And how do you do that? Number one, a quiet time. Number two, a recreational time. Number three, limit the time you have with people who drain you dry. Number four, do a class, do something that builds you spiritually, do something that builds you intellectually. And number four, just spend time with people. Spend time with people that build you up, that encourage you, that inspire you, that challenges you in a way that you feel supercharged and ready to go. It's your job to make sure that you are strong and full of whatever you need in order to keep charging forward positively in life. And if you're allowing somebody to drain you of your energy and your life source, you got to look at some other things. Are you dealing with a low self-esteem? Are you dealing with, something that I dealt with as, I'm a young, I grew up as a kid who was trauma informed. So abuse was a regular thing for me. And sometimes, as an adult, I have to watch it because those abuse patterns, even if it's not somebody abusing me, I will allow certain situations to happen that become abuse toward me. And it's not their fault. It's my fault for just not being fully aware or fully attentive to what's happening in the different situations and circumstances. So, but that's my own trauma informed, thing that I fight to grow through, just so that I'm not being emptied in a way that I'm, fragile and potentially broken. So it's your job to stay full. And if that means you need to create a fence around you to fortify you so that you can grow, especially during tumultuous times, do it. Don't think twice about it. Don't feel sorry about it, and don't apologize for it. Your job is to keep you charged up. Otherwise, you're not strong enough to do the things that you were created to do in this world. And the other thing is, there is a difference between being overwhelmed and being weary. And I want to make sure that you understand that difference. Overwhelmedness is like, that's a lot of activities happening at the same time. But weariness is an emotional drain that presents itself physically. You just don't feel like doing things. You just don't want to go places. That's an open door for things like depression. And you don't want to play around with that. So make sure you know the difference. Don't go into work tomorrow talking about Miss T said I'm weary, so I can't be doing all this, workload. I didn't say that. I'm saying know the difference and manage your time well so you don't feel overwhelmed, but know the difference between being overwhelmed and being weary. and make sure that you're taking the time to identify what's plugging into you. And another thing I like to use, as a visual for people is like a leech. You know what a leech is? It's like that little slug-like thing that once it locks its teeth into you, it does one thing. It only knows how to do one thing, and that's suck you dry. There are people in this world where that's just what they want to do. They don't want to pay the price that you paid to know what you know. They don't want to pay the price that you paid to become who you've become. But if they can latch onto you and just drain you and drain you and drain you, the assumption is that they can become like you or they can have what you have, but they can't because they didn't pay the price that you paid. Make sure that you're not allowing leeches to draw from you because they only know one thing. Gimme, 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 gimme. It's your job to keep them off you. And then I also told her, like, the words that came to mind when I was talking to a friend of mine about this was she told me the person that she was hanging out with, and I happen to know who they are. And the words that came to mind, immediately was smooth criminal. Like that Michael Jackson song immediately came to mind. Sometimes these people that are takers, they're not, they're smooth with it. They know how to get in there and get what they need and get what they want from you. It's your job to identify them and make sure that they're positioned properly in your boundary system. Because it's a lot. I get people all the time, Ms. T, can I ask you a question? Or can I interview you? Or can I come and see what you've built and all that stuff? But what ends up happening is they don't just drain me of my energy, they also drain me of time. They steal time from me. And it's done in a way that it's so smooth, like they need your help, but they really don't need your help. They just want your time and they want your energy. So, I know I'm kind of, going into different things here, but my hope is that I'm getting you to see that really, truly, it's your responsibility to make sure that you're strong, that you're built up. But know that because you are who you are, because you're kind, because you're a giver, because you like helping people, you will attract the kind of people that will tap you, they'll plug into you and tap you for everything you've got. So I want to make sure that you're aware that when you feel weary, start to examine situations, circumstances, individuals, seasons around you that could be plugged in you incorrectly or for a lengthy amount of time that's draining you dry of your energy, your fun, your enthusiasm, your passion, your joy, your excitement. You want to unplug them by unplugging or removing yourself so that you have everything you need to continue to pursue whatever makes you feel successful and winning and over the top. I want your cup overflowing. I don't want it just full. I want it overflowing. And normally that's where I feed people from. If a taker wants to come along or they want something from me, they can get it from what's overflowing out of me, but never drawing from the cup that's me so that I become dry. So I hope that helps you. I tried to use some analogies that, can give you some visuals. I'm a very visual person. And when I think about somebody locking onto me and just leeching and just pulling from me, it really does empower me to make some different decisions. So just know that number one, you're a champ. People are going to be drawn to you. Number two, it's your job to create the system that protects you so that you're strong for all the things that you have to do while you're still helping people, but you're helping people from your overflow, not from the core of what you need in order to be a success. Woo! So I know that's a big thing, but if you're feeling weary, examine that. Examine yourself, examine everything, and make some really wise choices to protect you because we need you, baby. We need 100% you firing on all pistons all the time. So if this helped you, do me a favor. Leave me a comment. Let me know, especially if you got some other strategies about how to deal with people that come along to just take. And then make sure you make sure you subscribe. And if you think this is going to help somebody, please share it with them. That's what this is all about. That's why I do all this stuff. That's what Sweet Tea Time is. So make sure you're sharing and everything. And then if you want some shorts and bits and bites, things like that happen daily that I put out, make sure you jump on that Instagram at Sweet Tea Time or TikTok at It's Sweet Tea Time. Thank you for tuning in today. And don't be weary, you champion you. I'm looking forward to hearing all the wonderful things that you're growing in and accomplishing as a result of building proper boundary systems to protect you from takers.